Okay, so today I am going to be doing the Ombre Frame, single frame. Now, this is a two-part process. So what I am doing today is I'm going to be pouring the ombre, and then tomorrow I will cut the frame and then make the rest of the soap. So I'm doing a music note themed soap, hence why we have gray and black. I have examples of this using other colors, but I know not the most interesting colors for this, but like I said, I had this idea for music notes, and so the base, it needs to contrast, right? So I'm doing gray to black, and then the inside will be white with the black notes. So we'll get that contrast, hence why these are just kind of monochrome colors. Now, I have done 2 videos on how to create ombres. There is a 2-color one and a multicolor, so 3, 4, 5, or 6 colors. So I'm not going to really explain this in great detail because those videos are very thorough. So if you haven't seen them, I recommend going back and watching those if you need or want help on how to create ombres. So I have split this 70-30. 70% of the color is my light color, 30% is my dark color, and I am just going back and forth slowly, adding a little bit of black to my gray base each time and pouring. So this is going to take a while. Ombres definitely are a process. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up. I won't talk through the whole thing, but hopefully we will see a nice gray to black ombre appear as I pour this. So yeah, sit back and enjoy, and I'll be back when it's time to cut the frame. Oh, and one other thing. I am using Blackberry Musk from Little Bee Scents. I was the sponsor choice winner for the February challenge and got a $100 gift card to Little Bee Scents. And I just got my scents in, and I'm super excited to try them. This one's kind of a musky, earthy one scent with sweet undertones. It's quite unique. I got a bunch. I'm excited to try them. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to them and say thank you, and let you guys know what scent I'm using. And so far, this is most definitely a slow mover. This is super, super fluid. So if you're looking for some slow moving scents, definitely check them out. They have a number of slow movers. So yeah, that was just the only thing I wanted to add. So as I was pouring this, I was frustrated because I didn't feel like I was getting an ombre But if you look at it, it is very subtle. But it's just going from gray to black, so it was gonna be subtle. Like, that big black is because I added a little extra black, which I shouldn't have done, but that's okay. But that ombre is there. This is why I always say trust the process. Just keep going with it even when you think it's not working, because a lot of times it is working. Or you're still gonna get something that is cool. So I have to cut this up now to get the frame. So you're gonna need some type of splitting tool, whether it's a log splitter that you can adjust how thick it splits. This is the Hercules. There's also a Caterpillar color from Custom Craft Tools. I absolutely adore this. This is their newer version, which has 1/8 inch or 16th inch, I forget what it is now, increments. So they're smaller. I have two of these actually. I have their original version, which had only, I guess they didn't have every other spacing on here. This tool has been worth every penny for me. You can also slice individual bars and stuff. It's, if you're on the fence about investing in one, you can have 110% recommendation for how much I actually love this tool and the number of things it allows me to do. So all I've done is I've put in the wire, so you can see I don't know if you can see, it's on the second notch. So I've just put it on the second notch, and that's the thickness that I want to cut this frame. I could make this thicker. I could do it up 3 or 4 notches. It just depends on how thick you want your frame. I kind of like that, the depth, like it's almost thin, not too thin, of the 2 notches. So that's typically what I go with. Now I'm doing a 5-pound loaf. It's harder to do, the larger the batch, the harder it is to basically cut smoothly. So what I generally recommend is start with like a smaller 2-pound mold. I've also done the 3-pound tall and skinny mold. Start smaller. This is my 6th or 7th batch. I forget. I've lost track of how many ombre frames I've created and cut. And I've gotten much better and good at cutting this frame on the larger soap, and I really wanted a bigger batch for this, so that's why I did the larger one. When I do the double frame and floating frame tutorial, I'll do it in the 3-pound batch, so a smaller batch. Basically, I'm just gonna slice this. Okay, so I cut the bottom off first. So you can see I've just sliced that, and I'm gonna remove it. And there's that. You can see a little bit of the ombre. It's very subtle. But the bottom piece is gonna go. Let me move this out of the way. Move this so I don't drop it or do something stupid. So this piece is going to be the bottom piece, and it's going to go right back in the mold, and it's going to, I didn't get it all the way down, it's going to fit right in there. Now what I'm going to do is, so that's in there, ready to go. Now I'm going to cut the top. I'm going to Now I did not trim off any of this top. Like you could trim this off and create a smooth layer. Because I don't have extra space on this mold and I want it to go right to the top, I'm not trimming anything. I'm just gonna cut it. So I am, same thing. I'm just gonna put the soap this way, and I'm going to, so all I've done is flipped it over. So first I cut the bottom, now I'm cutting the top. Now, you want to remember which way you cut it because you're creating a frame, right? So you need to make sure that each side goes on the right side. So this is how I cut my base. So I'm going to peel the top off. And you can see that big swatch of black. That was a mistake on my end. Like I said, I added some black to the last of my soap, but I added too much and it now stands out against the gradient. Not so great. I think once it's in the frame, it won't be as bad. So anyways, this is going to go on top. I'm going to set this aside. Back there. And now what I need to do is cut this side and then flip this over and cut this side. And that's going to create the full ombre frame. Yes, I'm going to be left over with quite a bit of soap. There are a number of different things you can do. One of them is you can create a double frame, or you can create 2 batches, have a floating frame, and then your double frame, which that is coming. I will show you that tutorial next. It'll be in another video next week for you. You can take this leftover soap and create jelly waves. I've done a whole slew of videos on that, so definitely go check them out. I will link them too. You could cut it up into confetti and just embed it that way. You could create squares, almost like a, kind of like the plaid concept. So similar to that, which I have a video from, oh, I believe it was last year, it's a while ago, on creating a plaid soap. So again, it wouldn't be a true plaid, but it would be similar in concept for creating the squares. So there are a number of things that you can do with the rest of the batch after you cut your frame so that it is not wasted. If it didn't bother you, say you could cut them into bars and just have smaller bars. So there's no reason for the rest of this batch to go to waste, right? You should be able to use it up in other designs, or even just cut and make bars out of it. So I just had to clean off that sheet. So this is how it's going in. I'm going to cut this side and put it here, and then I'll flip it over and cut the other side. So, okay, so guide. Let's pull that off, and look at that. Now that ombre is nice, subtle, but it's definitely a nice ombre. So that piece is going to fit right on the side here. I'm going to go ahead and, so I just cut this side, so now I need to cut this side. Now, I do recommend cutting bottom, top, and then the sides. That way you can just put the top right on, and you know, you don't have any seams or anything you have to worry about. You could cut it side side, bottom top. You just want the pieces to be able to fit together. That's the goal. So, okay. And like I said, the biggest thing too is you need to keep the direction of the loaf the same, so you always are making sure that your ombre is lining up. There's that one. There's that stupid black line because I didn't trust the process. Otherwise, it's still a really nice ombre. So I can set this. So this is what I'm left over with, right? I'm gonna slice this up and make jelly waves and use it in a another batch of soap. So it will not go to waste. Okay, so the bottom piece is in. I am just going to take, so I actually normally have a spray bottle, but my spray bottle is currently not in my studio. So what I'm going to do is just take some distilled water, just pull some out. And normally I would just spray the distilled water along the side and put this in. Because I don't have it, I'm just gonna wet the side. This is just gonna help it stick and not fall over. I'm also gonna wet the edge down on the bottom where it's gonna meet up. And now, just gonna put this in. Just get it nice and tight up against the edge, sorry. And then do the same thing. So this one's gonna go in this way. Flip the back side. Just, I said, the only reason I'm doing this is so that the soap doesn't fall in like you saw earlier, and I don't want it to move or shift while I'm, you know, pouring my soap and mess it up. So that's, and again, the light gray is the bottom, the darker gray is the top. I'm gonna just put that in. Make sure it's just pushed up against the side. Then I'm gonna pour my inside, and then at the end I will put this top on and I will have my frame. So that's how you create the ombre frame. When we cut this, we should then hopefully have a cool ombre frame framing the inside of our soap. So that I'll set aside. So the reason why this is black and white, because like I said, I was doing music theme. So I've extruded these music notes, and I'm going to embed them in the white base. And I think it'll be a cool soap. I like monochrome, black and white, gray theme soaps. I don't do them often, but I think they can be very kind of elegant looking. So yeah, there you have it. So I'm gonna go ahead, prepare the base to pour this, and then I will be back. Okay, so I have my white base, and I am going to just basically pour it in and add my embeds, the music notes, as I go. So the one thing I do want to comment on is try very hard to get your soap to line up, like pour just to the top. Now, when you put the top on, you want to, avoid the air gaps, right? So getting this soap lined up as much as you can is going to help you. But two, if you overfill it and then you're putting the lid on, it's either not going to completely go down, you're going to have gaps like soap in between and it won't be a complete frame, or it's all going to push out over the side. Then you're going to have to clean it. It can be very hard, and frankly it can be a pain, said from experience. So like I try and get it just to the top. And then I'll take my top piece and I start at one end and I kind of gently push it down and in. And I also push on the edges where the frame is and not on the inside, so I don't concave it and push it in. So there we have it. Hopefully there's no soap in between, and hopefully there's no air gaps. And I will come back and cut it tomorrow with you. Tiniest of gaps just at the end, which if that's all there is, then we're good. I think this piece, this one piece, because I have a little end scraps, so I know those will have the holes, but I think this side will have one bar with a gap, but hopefully all the rest are okay. Hopefully I filled it enough. So let's cut it and find out. So there's that little gap. Oh, there's the big gap. Let's see. Oh, that bar. Oh, it goes through like, apparently I was super short, which I didn't think I was. Those bars are okay. Oh, so it's through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars. Oh, that bugs me, because I really thought I had actually filled it enough. It's okay. Just calm down. It's not the end of the world. Here's the frame. So I'm really annoyed with my... This is why I always say with ombres, trust the process, right? Just keep going with it. Don't alter things. I didn't trust the process and I added a little extra black and now it messes up the ombre. That's okay. Anyways, you can see, right? Look at that nice ombre. We'll just ignore that little part right there, right? And otherwise it looks super cute. I love the music notes. Mostly no air gaps in those. I think it's fun. The music notes have definitely shifted a bit, but that's okay. I don't know if I needed to or should have added the mica lines. They're not very dominant, and because the music notes go through them all, I don't know if it really was worth doing, but that's okay. I don't think it takes away from it any. But yeah, look. Ooh, that one has more mica lines. These notes kind of all merge together. They're better on that side. I'm just so annoyed. Look at that. Major air gaps. Like, I seriously thought that this was full. Like when I was pouring this, I thought that it was okay. That is a bummer. This is why. And the funny thing is this is that end piece, right? So it's inside a portion of the bar that it just didn't have enough, apparently. Lessons learned. It's not the end of the world. Just frustrated, a little air gap under that note. But yeah, I always get bummed when things don't turn out perfectly. Like, not even perfect, but just major error. It's like that's a major error, right? But that being said, the ones that did turn out cute, it's fun. I love the ombre frame. And I like this whole black, white, gray themed. It's very different from what I typically do. I'm normally all about color. But every now and then, I do something like this with no color. Ugh. So annoyed with myself with that black. I should have known better. Should have trusted the process. And very frustrated with 6 bars out of 16 with major holes. I mean, I could try and probably infill it with soap dough, but I don't know. Oh well, it happens. Happens to the best of us. This is one of those designs where it's very easy to happen, but I can't believe I was so off. I'm normally much better at seeing that getting it level. Oh well. So anyways, let me know what you think. That is how you do an ombre frame. So frustrating. This is the worst bar, like that major whole gap through it, but maybe I just keep one for myself, give some to family. Oh well.